I'm Charlotte Gibson. I'm originally from New Orleans and I live in Los Angeles. Growing up, my biggest influences were pretty much all the music that was played in my house by my mother and my brothers and my father. So that's kind of a long list. It starts with David Bowie, the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, Gladys Knight, Leontyne Price. My biggest influences were pretty much everything that was being played in the house where I grew up with my parents. Whatever my brothers played, mostly whatever my mother played. She played a lot of Led Zeppelin when she was pregnant for me. She played David Bowie, ZZ Top. A Whole Lot of Love is my favorite Led Zeppelin song. And I just discussed that with her about 10 years ago because we didn't even realize it. That's my favorite Led Zeppelin song. She's like, oh, I used to play that when you were in the womb. You used to jump. And it took. There was a lot of Gladys Knight. There was Leontyne Price. There was an old rhythm and blues duo called Joe and Eddie. I can still remember a lot of Earth, Wind, and Fire. Oh, good Lord. My mother had Earth, Wind, and Fire playing in the house constantly. Constantly. The Beatles, Wings. Anytime Fleetwood Mac would come on the radio, I'd hear, ooh, my girl, Stevie. So I have to say, my mother's basically the one who opened the floodgates, and she let us listen to everything. She let everything come in. She used to sing. She would sing all kinds of top 40 hits. I think Stevie Wonder, she used to cover Stevie Wonder in a lounge, and Barbra Streisand. I mean, there was just such a wide range. So I have a very wide range of influences as a result. What gave me my biggest motivation to be in the music business was watching my mother sing, watching my brothers in musical theater, any car ride listening to my dad sing, particularly Al Green songs. And the fact that when I was fighting with my brothers, anytime I was the youngest of three children, and anytime we're fussing and fighting, or anytime I'm talking because I'm the baby, they just want to be like, "Shut up, Charlotte! Shut up, Charlotte!" Ugh, they always told me to shut up. But the only time they wouldn't tell me that is when I was singing, and I didn't pay so much attention to it then. But watching everybody sing, I would always join in and sing. Eventually, I got into a school choir. Eventually I got into musical theater. I was really, looking up to my brothers and wanted to be a part of the things that they were a part of. So I got into the same musical theater group. I did a play, Pinocchio. I did Peter Pan. I auditioned for Alice in Wonderland, but I was a little too shy at my age, I think, and just really, really quiet. So didn't get that Alice in Wonderland, but I made up for it later on. School choirs was a constant. After high school, a lot of friends started getting married. I started writing songs for their weddings. Any school function with music, they're like, "Oh, get Charlotte. She's good. She likes to sing. Just let her sing. She likes to sing." So after school, I wrote songs for friends' weddings. I was living in San Bernardino at the time. I started going out to Los Angeles, sneaking into clubs and getting to see amazing women of song with very hot background singers and hot bass players and just thinking, I want to do this. I want to be on stage. I want to have, beautiful guys behind me. I want to make music. I want to express, I already felt like nobody's going to tell me to shut up. So that was a fear that was past. But I would go out to LA and I would try out for talent shows, and I would lose. And some of them I was singing with a boyfriend at the time, and we would lose together, but we didn't care. We would meet people. It would always lead to something else, and there was no reason to be discouraged. There was no reason to not push forward. So I just continually flowed in the direction where I felt I wanted to go.
Experience.
I like to call myself a supporting vocalist. I would really like to call all of us supporting vocalists, because what we do is we literally support someone who's at the front of the stage. Now, having done all the talent shows and seeing a little bit of what goes on, I always thought, yeah, I do want to be an artist. I do want to express. I want to get my voice out there. But I wanted to observe, and I wanted to do it from a place where I'm not an audience. I can look at the audience, I can look at the artist, I can look at the managers and the production and the stage and everything, and I can be there, but all the eyes aren't on me. So I want to just take a look at what's going on. And being a supporting vocalist was a way that was able to happen. And I tried a few avenues. I would meet people at parties and, hey, what do you do? Oh, I'm a singer. Oh, who do you sing with? And if I couldn't give them a name, I mean, some of them would be gone in seconds. Like, well, okay, welcome to LA. You've got nothing. I don't want to hear anything. Eventually, I had a friend who needed some demos to be sung. And he had a studio out in Rancho Cucamonga. And I would drive out there and sing on his demos. And then I would go to LA and meet my friends out there. And I would pass the stuff around. I would do more recording sessions. And one day there was a guy who decided that he wanted to give me some work. And I met him through a friend. He wanted me to perform on Soul Train. And I thought, this is it. I'm going to do it. Got on Soul Train. It was lip sync. And it was not much money. And there was a compensation of fried chicken in the back. So it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. It took a while to get the check, but it was definitely something I thought, okay, I don't want to do a lot of this, but I want to do more of better things like this. Part of what led me to doing supporting vocals as a career was, the talent shows led me there, losing them, but meeting people, doing the recording sessions, doing the demos, driving out to LA, having a lot of fun. I got into a rock band called Feel. We played all the Sunset strip clubs, Coconut Teaser, which, hasn't been around for a while, Gazzari's, Whiskey, Roxy, Raji's, just meeting all these people. I met a guy who introduced me to a friend of his, and it turned into my first Soul Train performance. It turned into several Soul Train performances, and eventually it turned into me auditioning for Brandy. Brandy was opening for Boys to Men, and her musical director was Cornelius Mims. I'll never forget him, never, never, never. And Corny was the funniest dude and the most talented bass player I've ever met. And after the tour was over, he was always looking out for me, always trying to get work for me, and was the one who introduced me to Paul Jackson Jr. Paul Jackson Jr. was playing guitar for everyone on everybody's record, many Michael Jackson tunes, and was touring with Whitney Houston at the time. So one of Whitney's singers had left the gig, and the door was open, and he spoke to Whitney's musical director, who at the time was Ricky Minor, and said, hey, you should check my friend Sharlotte out. And I got this call. I had been working on some original music I had been writing, and one day I had some friends over, and I was like, I just need a studio. I really need a studio. And we were just talking about how frustrating it was to get producers to give you their time, and how hard it seemed to be. Like, if you think you're a good writer, great, but then you want to get good tracks, and I don't actually play any instruments, so I had to rely on tracks from producers. And then once I wrote them, you kind of can't find anyone. It's like, oh, it's a bad week this month. So my phone rings in the middle of that conversation, and I answer the phone, and I'm like, whoever you are, please tell me you've got a 24-track 8-ad studio that you want me to use for free so I can come do my music. Pregnant pause, and the voice on the other end says, hello, my name is Ricky Minor, and I got your number from Paul Jackson Jr. I'm calling to ask if you would like to come and audition for Whitney Houston. My jaw dropped. But not long enough for me to not say yes. So I said yes, and he told me where I needed to be. He told me he needed 5 songs, show up at this place at this time. I'm like, all right, this is going to happen. This is great. Okay. He said, now she's looking for someone who can enhance her sound, who can give her the kind of sound that she's looking for. And I said, okay, I can do that. I did that with Brandy. That was, part of what got me the job with Brandy. And he said, what? Because you sound like Brandy or you sound like Whitney? I said, well, I can sound like both of them if I have to. And he said, well, I'll be checking that out at, this time and this place. And I showed up at the audition, and I had learned all of the leads to the songs that he requested. Then I watched the other girls at the audition singing the background parts on the choruses for all of those songs, which I hadn't bothered to learn because every audition prior to that, they want to hear you sing lead, and then you're going to end up singing background. Well, when he offered me to come up, I was like, no, I'm just going to sit here for a moment. And I watched some of the other ladies, and I watched, what mistakes were being made, and I corrected them in my mind as fast as I could. And by the time I was ready to go up, everything felt natural. It wasn't as hard as I thought it might have been. I prayed before I went in, and am so glad that I did. Even though
Favorite.
Brandy's tour was my first tour, it's the people that I met on her tour that led me to my favorite tour, which is Whitney Houston. I have been all over most parts of the world, and it was basically Whitney Houston that took me to the farthest reaches. I got to go to everywhere in Scandinavia, everywhere in Europe, a lot of time in Germany, in France, all over the U.S., remote parts of Canada. And Brandy's tour was just a U.S. tour, but even in that, you can find some very interesting places like Carbondale, Illinois, and Peoria, and Champaign. All of those are in Illinois. You can go to 4 different cities in Tennessee and still be in Kentucky. And you can go to a lot of places in Florida and be in another country. I did a U.S. tour with Barry White. I did a U.S. tour with Chaka Khan, and I went to Japan with Chaka Khan. A blast all the way. Chaka's amazing. She's an alien. Everything that comes out of her mouth is unreal, unexpected. Well, completely expected, but unbelievable and effortless. She's actually one of my influences as well. And how she's a free spirit, how she rocks and rolls and is funky and is soul and jazz, and she embodies everything. She really is every woman. So she is one of my favorites, but basically it was U.S. and Japan with her. I went to South Africa with Tevin Campbell. No one else has taken me there. I enjoyed myself thoroughly, and I can't wait for anyone to take me back there. It would be beyond awesome. Yeah, those are the farthest places I could think of. Whitney also took me to Australia. The only place where I stayed for 3 weeks strictly on a gig. Amazing. Amazing. I love Australia. And she is very well liked in Switzerland as well. So I think those are my best and favorite places. The last tour that I did with Whitney was called the Nothing But Love Tour. And it was awesome. It was a chance for her to get back with some of us that she hadn't seen for a number of years. It was a chance for her to get up from the challenges of what her body had been through, the challenges of the press wearing everybody out. And unfortunately, on this tour, the press sought to wear everyone out. I would be in Scotland, and I would get Skype messages, are you okay? And well, we heard this, or we heard that, or, the London show wasn't great, or the first London show wasn't great, but, nobody talks about how amazing the Birmingham show was. And there were inconsistencies. She was trying to get up. There wasn't any secret about what she had been through, and just the fact that she was trying to pull up. This woman never did a show without giving her all. If she didn't have 100% to give, but she had anything, she brought it, and she left it. She gave her heart and soul every single time she got on stage. And she had her rehearsed moments, but she was very, very open to, what do I feel right now? What am I feeding off of from the audience? And what am I giving them in return? And what do I have to share tonight? Every single time she got on stage, she bled. And I don't mean, there was an actual injury, but she bled her soul on that stage through that microphone. And I was pleased that a lot of the fans would, hold up signs saying, don't believe the media and don't follow the hype and, we love you, Whitney. And they were constantly pouring back to her and giving support and giving their hearts because they could see what she was giving. And really, she gave her best. And a lot of nights she was on fire. And it's really sad that those moments didn't make the press like they should have. It's like she's got 24 songs in her show. And if she misses the note on I Will Always Love You or whatever song, well, she didn't do this and she didn't do that. Maybe 4 songs out of 20 weren't her greatest performances, but she was on fire and she gave everything. If she had nothing to give, then we canceled, but only then. And she had some surgeries, trying to repair. She's just such a spirit, such a champion, and such a lady, and one of the most gracious and poised performers I've ever known. And I have to tell the world that. I'm sure that everyone who loves her knows that, but for those of you who don't, you need to look her up. Television shows that I've done as a supporting vocalist, apart from Soul Train. Well, we'll start with Soul Train. I did Kenny Lattimore on Soul Train, the great, talented, and beautiful Eric Benet. Not taking anything away from Kenny because he's also great, talented, and beautiful. Shantae Moore, pre the wedding. And that is awesome! As a solo artist with that same boyfriend that I used to lose talent shows with, we were a duet. And we were on a telethon. I think it was a Jerry Lewis telethon. Or, something to help benefit some serious disease. And it was out in Malibu. And we were like, yeah, screw all those talent shows. We're on TV. And it was so much fun. We stayed at a lovely home in Malibu, and it'll be a memory to cherish. I was doing Soul Train with Kenny Lattimore, with Eric Benet, with Shantae Moore, and unfortunately a few others that I can't remember at this time, because it was a long time ago, y'all. David Letterman was the first television show that I did with Brandy. And we went on to do Jay Leno's Tonight Show about every couple months for about 2 years straight. And we did the Today Show. We did Rosie O'Donnell. I had about 7 jackets from the Rosie O'Donnell show. I've given almost all of them away. I wanted to keep one. Conan, when he was in New York. Conan, when he was over here. I did it with Pretty Lights. Amazing. Yeah, so I basically lived at Burbank's NBC, and I would just pop on with various people, Lisa Stansfield, Jerry Lee Lewis and Kid Rock, definitely Brandy every couple months. Whitney and I were there. Yeah, that's going to go on forever. We did the Lamb Awards. I've never even heard of the Lamb Awards, but it's something that we did in Europe with Whitney. MTV Music Awards. I did something with Andy Samberg, actually. Billboard Awards with Mariah Carey. I know there's more. Well, yeah, Today's Show, Early Show, all the New York, the promo shows that you do when like another singer mentioned earlier, we have, the runs where you've got to go sell everything, sell yourself before your record comes out. And they just drag you from show to show to show, from coast to coast to coast. And we've done them all. Some of our most thrilling moments during Whitney's tour in particular were actually not on stage. There were times we'd be in Australia and she'd get a yacht or get a, just some huge boat and have everybody come out and just like, let's hang out on this lake. And we'd just get a boat for a few hours and play music and dance and just be with each other and have family time. Not always shooting people with water guns, but There's always water involved. As a solo artist, I am writing songs for my every mood. I'm watching a lot of pop stars on the radio, a lot of 12-year-old blondes, and I'm not that. So rather than try to conform and be something I'm definitely not, I'm just taking my time and writing songs for my every mood. If I feel like an angry girl, I'll write a song for that. If I feel like I want to write a punk rock song, I'll do that, surf punk. If I want to write something that's folk, I'll write it. Um, what I'm doing is basically just compiling these works and looking at different producers and trying to just figure out who would be the best people to write with, on future projects, but also who can bring out the best in the songs that I've got thus far. Maybe some of the producers I work with are really good rock producers or they're really good R&B producers, but they might not have the same vision for some of the songs that I'm writing currently. So I'm really taking my time with that. I know it's been a long time, like since I first observed and said, I'd like to do this, but I want to check it out from the other side. Once I met Ricky Minor and Whitney, a lot of years went under the water. I mean, went under the bridge, but I'm not in a rush. My mom, I know, has always thought, she says, I watch The Voice and you're better than that one and this, that, and the other. And I think, yeah, maybe so, but I'd rather be rich than rich and famous. And I don't have a problem not being in the front all the time. When I want to express, that's when I want to go to the front. If I'm cool in the back, I'm cool in the back. I know I'm there to do a job. I love what I'm doing. I don't know that, I don't want to die in this place, but I love living in this place right now. I love being able to sing with all the different people, experience all the different talents. I mean, you get to work with people that you grew up singing along with in the shower, and I danced around my living room with a towel on my head trying to sing, Cher songs, Whitney Houston songs, and Elton John songs, just whatever it is. Smokey Robinson, I get to sing with Smokey Robinson. If I was completely focused in another direction, I'm not sure that I would gain the experience that I have thus far. So I'm okay with the path that I'm on and the way things are going and the speed that they're going. What I feel I have learned from all the artists that I've had the pleasure of being on stage with, being in studio with, is different people have shown me different things. Like Whitney has shown me how to leave everything behind. Make sure you just give what you have. I've been on stage with Patti LaBelle and I've watched this woman sing a rehearsal like she might not be here tomorrow. It's the point of giving all that you have and not holding back. It's somebody like Queen Latifah. Being on stage with her, she's not known for singing. She is now, but she wasn't originally known for singing when she came out, and the woman is fearless. She'll try anything. And that's something that I take also, like just being okay with exploring while you're expressing. It's fine. If learning that the audience is your friend and that they're there for you helps you give more. And that's the biggest thing. I want to give more. What it means to me to be a backup diva is when I'm being a backup diva, wearing those shoes, is to stand there and know that I'm in support of the person in front and to be sensitive to what it is that they need. I pay attention to how they sound. I recently got to do a tour with 9 Inch Nails. I had Trent's voice in my ear so loud that whenever I did a harmony with him, I want to hear him breathe. I want to be there. I want to land. I want to be another color on the artist, the lead artist's voice. I want to be another texture. I want to be whatever's needed, and to really have that person's back and to really make their show something better than it would be. I want to make a difference. The reason why I'm being there is to make a difference, and I want that difference not to be missed. I want it to be apparent. Even though I'm in the back, you're going to feel me. You're definitely going to hear me when the time comes. And and hopefully a mark will be left.
For the question.
What I think being on this show will do for my career is hopefully draw attention to the right producer to help my songs be my best expression of me. I don't want to end up sounding like all of the rest that sound the same. I'm not the same. So I hope to meet up with the producer that can help me bring that out. More than anything, I think that's my goal for wanting to be on this show.